Hello again, it's me, the Bargain Pirate, and welcome to another adventure in game chasing. Today, we're going to meet my friend Elvino because he says he has a treasure map for more video games. Come on! There he is! Hey! Elvino!
Hey, what's up?
Why did your puppet bite my hand? Anyways,
I bring my magic card.
your magic map to find video games. Alright, let's go find some games. Come on, Elvino. Come on.
This way.
That way. There's a lot of people here. You think they're looking for our treasure?
It's okay. Let's wait, man.
All right, so Elvino,
Yeah.
what is your favorite video game?
Skyrim.
Oh.
My favorite game of all time.
Really, you love the Elder Scrolls? What do you like about it?
Oh, it's an RPG, you know? I can do everything I want.
And we're going game chasing. What kind of game would you like to find if you could find it?
I want a retro game.
Ooh, which game would you like?
The Secret of Mana.
Ooh, for the Super Nintendo.
Yes, please.
Did you know that that game was remastered for the PlayStation 4? Also, if you have a Super Nintendo Classic,
Yeah.
Secret of Mana is on that too.
Oh.
So instead of, say, buying a $200 copy of Secret of Mana, you could just buy an $80 Super Nintendo Classic.
Oh, you're so bright. Thank you.
Yes, I am bright, like a light bulb. It's one of those sad days where there's nothing good at the thrift store. Some other time. This place is great. I strongly recommend it. Now let's look at the games. Huh? It's a TV game cartridge for TV games. It looks like a Famicom cartridge, but it's not. Let's keep looking. Earthworm Jim 3D. It looks like an Earthworm Jim, but it's not. Let's keep looking. No way in hell am I gonna get my ass kicked by a puppet.
Come on.
Well, this was an exciting game chase where we found some games that people think are terrible, but that we like, right? So all that's left now is to... What are you doing?
I have a surprise for you.
Surprise? What is this?
Pirate game. Eh?
So you got me a game and you think I'd like it just because it's a pirate game and I'm a pirate?
just like you.
What an incredible asshole of a racist you are. What a racist. I'm not working with a racist. I'm going home and doing the tally. I'll see you later. Wasn't that amazing? All the places my friend showed me, thanks to his map. I sure would like to have that. It sure comes in handy. Anyways, here are the games that I got. Now, today's thematic was games that weren't very good, or at least are known to be kind of awful, but that I have a soft spot for. And apparently all things from the 90s, I guess. So first off, we're going to start off with a nice Spielberg-based game, Jaws for the NES. Now this is a fun title. It's It's got a good concept. It's one of those games like the Friday the 13th game where the concept is very interesting, but this being the 80s, they decided to pepper all the sweet exploration themes and fighting the one-on-one enemy, but all these little battles and all these little things you have to do that are so useless because it's a video game. You gotta fight all these little enemies before you get to the big thing. But if this game, or Friday the 13th the game, were mostly focused on just exploring with no enemies, and then, oh, it's Jason, or oh, it's the shark, then yeah, that would be actually kind of a scary game. Can you imagine if this game was just swimming around and all of a sudden Jaws is there, or he's not? What's more scary than absence? Food for thought. Food for Jaws. Also in the NES, Double Dragon 2, The Revenge. Some people don't like it because, unlike Double Dragon 1, where if you face right or left and you press the two buttons, you kick and punch in whichever direction you face, they decided to change it up with this one. Why take a formula that's been in use for at least 5 years at that point and that is pretty much used now, and instead incorporate a formula where even if you look in left or right, if you press the A button, you punch and kick left, and if you press the B button, you punch and kick right, wherever direction you're looking at. Can you imagine that? There's some moments in the game where you just, oh, here's a hallway covered in insta-kill spikes with a tiny little thing, and you have to time jumps properly. Isn't that fun? The answer is a big resounding fuck no, it's not fun. But anyways, Double Dragon 2, The Revenge. Over on the Super Nintendo, I've got The Adventures of Mighty Max. Now, this game I've wanted for a long time. Not because it's good, because it's not very good. However, I liked Mighty Max. If you remember, Mighty Max were these little micro-universes that were like, you would open them up, and they would be really awesome. You'd have a skull or a snail with like laser eyes, or a snake, and you'd open them up, and it'd be these little castles where Mighty Max, or Virgil the Owl, or the other guy, the guy with the sword, I forget his name, Norman. I remember the guy with the sword from Mighty Max. Wow. Anyways, yeah, these three guys were in miniature format, and then you had monsters. Too long didn't hear. These were Polly Pockets for guys. And, well, they made a game of it, and the game was terrible, and now it's mine. Also for the SNES, Dragon's Lair. Now, originally, Dragon's Lair blew everybody's mind. Here was this wonderful 2D animated Don Bluth film in the arcades, which was revolutionary. I mean, video games back then were Atari kind of video games. Whereas now, you've got this cartoon, this interactive animation. Amazing. So let's have none of that cool stuff, and just have some boring, hard-as-hell platforming, and you've got Dragon's Lair for the SNES. Okay, again, now it's mine. Over on the Sega Genesis, we have The Simpsons, Bart's Nightmare. And what's fun about this game is not a lot actually, but what's interesting about this game is that instead of being a traditional side-scroller like other games, Bart Simpson has a nightmare on the eve of an exam. And then you're free to roam around Nightmareville and go into like little Nightmare Springfield and go into little different mini-games that you never know which ones are which, and every turn's trying to attack you. So whenever you play this game, it's a random experience. If you die in any one of the mini-games, let's say you die on the third mini-game, then Bart will have the third answer out of 8 or 12 on his exam, and then he'll fail, you get a C. But the higher the marks, the better it is to have this thing on the fridge. Because essentially Bart wants to have an A+ and eclipse Lisa's exam on the fridge for the Simpson family. It's a weird-ass game, but I have it complete in box. Yay, me! Over on the Nintendo 64, a PAL copy of Mortal Kombat 4, which was the first 3D game in the Mortal Kombat series. It was a departure from the motion capture video footage of the earlier games. It was 3D, and that's pretty much all there is for it. This one tried to introduce the whole weapon thing that was later refined in Deadly Alliance and Deception. But yeah, this one's okay, not the best, but if you want to play Mortal Kombat 4, I strongly suggest either the PlayStation version or Mortal Kombat Gold for the Dreamcast. And finally onto the PlayStation 1 games. Picked up a copy of Twisted Metal 3, which I've always liked for a whole $1, and I think I overpaid. Star Wars, The Phantom Menace, the game. The graphics are interesting, but it's still kind of clunky. It's not very pretty, and it's very one of those games where you're like, what the fuck? Like, sometimes you'll have to press a button that's really hidden, and you'll be looking around the room for like a million days, and then it's like, oh, there it was the second you look into one of those online tutorial things. So it's not a very, it's one of those games you would call obtuse. It has a very European feel in terms of the design. Like, say, like a Planet of the Apes or something. It's not a very good game, but it's a game that I'm happy to have in my collection, because I like crap. I do. Look at the show I'm making. And finally, the pièce de résistance of today, Fantastic Four. Now, Fantastic Four is an amazing beat-em-up, and unlike other beat-em-ups, you can play as all 4 of the Fantastic Four. Awesome, right? But you can also play as reserve member of the Fantastic Four, She-Hulk. Not everybody knows this, but She-Hulk was part of the Fantastic Four a couple times. And what's really, really fun about this, beyond the fact that it's kind of weird graphics, it's got weird stuff going on, is that the soundtrack. Fantastic Four. Regular action movie music, upbeat superhero themes? No, let's put some crazy acid, weirdo Marvel vs. Capcom type jazz. Just like some weird, twangy Miles Davis shit all over in this game. This is the background thing. You feel like you're in a nightclub, but no, you're in the Fantastic Four with some techno jazz. Anyways, this one is hard to come by, so if you do find a copy for cheap, I got this one really cheap, well, add it to your collection, because this is one of those ones that you don't find often, especially in this great a condition. And that was it for a special on shitty games. But remember, even shitty games are worth having in your collection, because a games collection is like having children. There'll always be an ugly one you can't help but want to give a slap to, but still, they're all your children. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I'll see you next week for more adventure in game chasing. Yarr!